What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so I have some breaking news reported by Sham Charania, and that is that New Orleans Pelicans star Zion Williamson will miss extended time with a right abductor injury. According to sources, he'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. 3 weeks. So this comes off of him missing, what was it, 2 weeks? Or 3 weeks or 2 weeks with the calf strain? So I think the abductor is basically like the lower part of your abs, like where your abs sort of meet with your groin area. I think it's that area. So I guess it's the right side. So he's out for 3 weeks. So he won't be back. I mean, he won't even be possibly back until around Christmas. Look, man, I get it. There are going to be people say, look, you can't help when you get hurt. I get all of that, man. But you got to understand, too, that these players are under contract. It's a business. And as I said before, why is it that the players who are getting paid the most, the ones who have the biggest responsibility to these organizations, why is it that they're the ones that's always getting hurt? Now, you could argue, well, they're playing more minutes, they have a bigger burden. Not necessarily. There are many guys who are starting in the NBA who are not making max money. They're role players, but they play, more minutes than anybody, and they're Iron Men. And it's almost never, and I'm not, look, there are legitimate injuries, but we can't help but notice, you got to notice that the players who make the most money on every team seems to be the guys who are always missing all these games, man. And it's just, at this point with Zion Williamson, I mean, it is what it is. Like, he's just, it's never going to work, man. Every year, you think this is going to be the year. We thought this was going to be the year. He looked to be in tremendous shape. We thought this the year. Look, I understand he has a history of being hurt, but you thought maybe he played 70 games. Well, at the rate that they're going now, he's not going to be eligible for any All NBA selections. So at the most, he's going to play maybe 60 games if you're lucky. But then with Zion, with his history of getting hurt and how long, that's another thing. It takes him very long to come back from injuries that other players don't take as long to come back from. Remember, he had a foot injury a few years ago where he was supposed to have been out. I think he had surgery during the offseason or something like that, or right before the season started. And he was supposed to have made a comeback maybe like sometime in December. But here it was going into January, and he still wasn't ready. My timeline might be a little off here, but I know it got to the point where they had to give him an injection in his foot because he didn't seem to be healing fast enough. Now, that's something he can't help unless he's doing shit that's hampering or eating shit that's hampering his healing process. I don't know. But Pelican fans got to be sick, man, because it's the same thing every year with this guy. And at this point, man, you just they got to figure out a way to move on from Zion Williamson. They got to move on from him because they're not going to win anything with him as the centerpiece. You can't rely on him. You can't rely on him. Him, Kawhi Leonard, Joel Embiid, you can't rely on these guys. Now, the 76ers, you could argue they have sort of rearranged their roster to the point where, look, Joel Embiid is not the focal point anymore. It's like it's Tyrese Maxey, but still he's there. And I just think that a team with any of these guys, you're just not going to win anything. And I get it, Kawhi Leonard won a championship years ago, but that version of Kawhi Leonard is gone. He's not the defensive beast that he once was back in the late 2000 teens, maybe very beginning of 2020s. Offensively, he can still score, but he's slowing down a bit. And with Zion Williamson, the problem is he just can't stay on the court. It's like, damn, he struggles to stay on the court for 2 weeks at a time. So I don't know, man. And the thing about it, you could say trade him if you're the organization, but who wants him? I mean, who really wants him? Is a change of scenery really going to change anything? And if Zion Williamson is struggling in New Orleans, do you really want him in the Big Apple? Do you really want him in New York? If this is a guy that has a history of control issues and off the court shenanigans? I don't know. But I do know this though. This shit ain't working in New Orleans, y'all. And it's been long enough. New Orleans fans have been patient enough. The organization has been patient enough. There already have been times where it seemed like that he was this close to being traded before. But I guess what you should do, man, if you're the organization is, I would have him come back. Hopefully he's healed. If not, shut him down for another week or two. Have him come back, play at a high level. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully he stays healthy for a 2-month period or a month period, because that'll be beginning of January by then. Hope he's healthy for a month, and then hope his value goes up, and then trade his ass. That's the only thing I can think of, man. But, because it's not working. And, I even sometimes, I don't want to be too cynical, but sometimes I even wonder if these players are kind of like playing up some of these injuries, man. And I don't want to think that, man, but you never know, man. Anyway, that's all I got to say about it. What you guys think?